Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Salty Hive Experience. Today we will be going over, we're not going over anything. We're going to meet Coach Samantha. You guys know her, you love her, but we're going to go into depth of her CrossFit journey. So let's start there. Where were you before CrossFit? How did you find CrossFit?
Yeah, so this is a good way to start because most importantly, Megan is how I found CrossFit.
We got a lot of Megans.
We got a lot.
Mago. Okay.
We got Mago. So before CrossFit, so growing up, I danced my whole life. So I did like competitive dance, kind of how like you did competitive cheer, right? And then after that, I got into, I went in a little phase where I was traveling a bunch and not working out. And then I got into half marathon, Globo gym, all of that stuff with Mago. We'll see how many times I can call her out, how excited she'll get about that.
She's the star of this podcast.
She's actually the star here. So her and I were doing like half marathons, 5Ks, stuff like that, going to Gold Gym or Vasa or whatever it was. And she had wanted to start CrossFit for a long time. She had, I think, a coworker that was coming here when it was CrossFit New Life. And so she finally just came to classes and joined. And within the first week, she was like, Samantha, her and I were living together at the time. And she was like, Samantha, I think you'd really like it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's for me. And then the next week, she's like, you really should come. And so within 2 weeks of her starting, I had come. I did one class. I did my first class with Justin. He did my little trial one-on-one. And I was like, hey, I'm ready. Let's go. Instantly, yeah.
So what made you feel like it wasn't for you?
So I've always had minor joint problems, and I just kind of bought into the idea of it being dangerous and not good for your joints and all of that shit. And I hadn't done a lot of research on it. I just had seen those in factual, now I know, things about it. So I thought it wouldn't be good for me in that sense.
Okay. So once after your trial, what was why were you sign me up, let's do this? What hooked you?
I think the initial thing was just my competitive nature from growing up competitive in sports and dance. So it was the first day I was there, Justin took me through a baseline workout and was like, okay, I'm gonna time you. And I was like, oh, fun. Yeah, exactly. And he was like, I had Megan do the same one 2 weeks ago. And I was like, all right. So
did you beat her?
So this is actually really funny. Justin was like, I have that you didn't beat Megan, but Megan was chit-chatting with me the whole time. And so if anything is more indicative, I was heads down working, and Megan was like, oh yeah, and then da-da-da-da-da.
She was still in the Globo gym mindset.
Yeah. So apparently no, but I'm gonna go with yes because there's no way. No,
there's
There's no way.
Okay.
Anyway, so I just I liked that I was told what to do, that I was given exactly the expectations, and that there was a clock and I was in and out in 1 hour. It just was it gave very clear guidelines as opposed to me just not knowing what in the world I was doing on my own.
Right. So when you were doing Globo Gym half marathon versus you now doing CrossFit, how would you feel like you've changed since then?
Oh gosh, all right, we're already getting emotional. So before joining the gym, I got into a very mentally unhealthy place where all of my training had to do with what I looked like. I just wanted to be smaller and skinnier, and it was all body. It was all physique driven. Mm-hmm. So yes, when I'd run my half marathons, I would try to get good times and stuff like that. But my main driving factor was physique. And within about 6 months of starting CrossFit, my whole mindset shifted where my driving factor was performance, right? And so like, as you know, like I'm already on the smaller side for CrossFit athletes. So I was even less. So I'm one of the people that gained weight joining CrossFit, right? I was even smaller than I am now. And it was like pretty quickly that I was like, okay, well, I have this goal to back squat 200 pounds. I remember that being like my first goal in CrossFit. And I was like, well, you ain't gonna do it not eating. So like,
Right.
and then I was like surrounded with people like you and like Trish, who like I still found very beautiful, but like stronger and taking up space and stuff like that, right? So the mindset for training shifted from aesthetics being my focus to performance being my focus, and still is now.
Do you feel like that was a fast transition, or was that kind of hard for you to get through? Like, I don't want to say get over, but like, was it hard for you to transition from being like, okay, I'm not really going to care what I look like anymore, and I just want to back squat 200 pounds?
Yeah, I think it was about like 6 months in that I realized that was happening, like kind of subconsciously. Like I realized that, you know, I was following CrossFitters on social media as opposed to like your typical beauty standard that's seen out there, right? And I like kind of noticed that. I wouldn't say it was like an easy transition at that point, but I think my competitiveness like just outweighed the other goals that I had. And I was surrounded enough by people that looked like that I like slowly became okay looking like that as well, being a little bit bigger, and not bigger in a bad way, right? Just like muscular, and not the only goal being smaller. So I'd say at about 6 months in, I noticed it. It probably took about a year and a half to be a little bit more comfortable with like how my body was changing and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So when I first joined CrossFit,
Yeah.
you were competitive. So when did you become like athlete, just coming to CrossFit classes every day, to becoming someone that wanted to compete? Obviously you have a competitive nature,
Yeah.
so maybe that is kind of what did it, but
Yeah,
tell us.
it's actually kind of funny. So I was always just competitive in the gym here, but not in a like a I want to beat all of you sort of way, but just like, you know, this breeds like a fun competition atmosphere. And I like being good at things, and I've been athletic for a while, so I always had that. And then I can't remember when, but kind of earlier on, I did an RX competition in a way that I probably wasn't ready for. And it like traumatized me. Like I was by far the weakest link. I was like
really?
not set up for success to do it.
Was that a team?
Yeah, it was a team of 4.
Okay.
And they needed their second girl. So I did it with them, and like it was fine, but that like actually kind of pushed me away from competition for a little bit. So I feel like when I really in my head transitioned to being competitive was right around the time that Justin took over, and he had done the gymnastics course for the first time, and he was like, Samantha, I really think you have the skill and capacity to do muscle ups. Like, can we work together and do that? It was like right after one of the opens, and I didn't get a muscle up in the open. And he was like, you really should have muscle ups. I just did this gymnastics course. Let's work together and let's like get you a muscle up. And then as soon as I had done all of that work to get a muscle up, everything improved. Like my Olympic lifts were improved, all of that. And it just kind of propelled me forward into a more competitive mindset. And then with like, actually I would say like you joining, Courtney Funk coming over, like kind of just building that more competitive culture gave me that environment to start to like nourish it or like flourish in that a little bit more.
Right.
So yeah, starting in like 2019 and then over the next year, gaining the skills and strength to do that. And then having all of you as support kind of pushed that.
I want to talk a little bit about the competitive mindset.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel like you've been in a competitive mindset that has been negative versus positive, more of like a comparison game or whatever that looks like?
Absolutely.
And what was your process of trying to, well, I guess one, what does it mean to be positively competitive? And how do we get into, or what does that mindset look like? What does that mindset shift look like from comparison to positive uplifting competition.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I've been in a negative competitive mindset where other people's successes that I don't also hit mean that I failed, right? It doesn't actually, but in my head, right? And it didn't mean that I wasn't proud of those around me. I totally was. And I felt like that meant that I wasn't good enough, right? And that's a hard place to be, and it's a hard place to get out of.
For sure.
Especially when you're developing as a competitor and when you're pushing yourself as a competitor. It's really tough. What transition needs to happen is the people that you're training with, the people that are around you, the people in your group are not your competition, they're your support system. And the better they are, the better you are, right? It's just like your group of friends. Like if you're with a group of positive, uplifting people, they're going to uplift you and you're going to push yourself further. It's the same thing here, right? But I mean, it's hard to get out of that comparison mindset. I don't know that I ever fully got out of it until my injury, to be honest.
Okay.
I got to a much better place, right? But I don't know that you're ever fully out of it, but I think my biggest switch was my injury.
Okay. So going to your injury, good leeway. So what happened? We were at Iron Games.
Yeah.
You had come off a rope and had somehow tweaked the knee,
Yep.
more than a tweak. What exactly was the injury to start? And then tell us a little bit about your injury, about your recovery, where you're at now, where you were a year ago. Just give us this injury story.
The injury story.
The injury story.
The injury story. What injury? No. So yeah, like you said, I mean, you were there, you watched it. Came down from a rope climb, felt my knee snap, immediately couldn't walk, I couldn't put weight on it, right?
I will never forget, just real fast,
Yeah.
when she came down. She tweaked her knee. Me and Trish were looking at her, and she looks at us and goes, points at the rope and goes, go! So we went. That's the competitive nature right there.
It was the final, and we were tied for first.
It was awesome.
Oh
but
my
anyways,
gosh.
continue.
Yeah.
I just will never forget that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was, oh
my
gosh.
gosh.
Well, it's like they could still win. They're
Yeah,
fit.
you were
They
like,
could still do it.
We were like, okay. Trish is like, can we get someone over here? I'm like about to start a rope climb.
I'm just like crawling off.
Oh my gosh, it was chaos is what it was.
It was
but
chaos.
I'll never forget like that moment in particular.
Yeah.
Obviously the trauma of the moment, but also like that part and being like,
You're like,
CrossFit's
all
so
right.
weird.
CrossFit is weird. At least I didn't try to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't stand on it.
Okay, now continue your injury
yeah.
story.
So, I mean, that was tough. Because as you know, me, you, and Trish were doing that Iron Games competition. But that was really just like for funsies before you and I were supposed to go to NCC 2 weeks later,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And that was supposed to be our big competition of the year. Yeah. So that was a bummer. Which also leads me, do you remember when after I was injured on that night when we didn't know it was wrong, and you looked at Josh and you were like, she'll be okay for NCC,
yeah.
Right?
She'll be good. She'll be totally
and Josh
fine.
was like, no.
And I'm like, why are you so negative, Josh? And he was like, I think it's pretty bad. She's doing
it's
fine.
fine. Fast forward to 2 years later.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Anyway, so what ended up happening, I tore my ACL and both menisci, well, I don't know.
The meniscus.
The meniscus,
Okay.
both of them. So initially I wasn't able to walk. My knee wouldn't stay in place. So y'all helped me move around. And then I remember Fern and Megan drove me home. And as soon as the next morning, I got into an ortho as soon as possible. And they like checked it out and they're like, we can't know for certain, but with how much swelling there is, it's probably ACL. So then, get an MRI, get into the orthopedic surgeon. Sure enough, ACL, both meniscus, like I already said. So I had my injury, and then I think it was almost exactly 5 weeks later, I had my surgery. And so in that 5 weeks, I was like positive, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, you're fine, you're fit, you're gonna crush this, whatever, right? I would love to tell everyone that continued, but that dropped off very quickly. Mm-hmm. So I had my surgery, and I think I just was like not adequately prepared for all of it. And I was even very fortunate in a lot of ways. Kurt, my boyfriend, at the time he wasn't working, so he was able to stay home with me, take care of me, take me to all of my appointments and stuff. So I had my surgery where they took a small piece of the hamstring tendon and replaced my ACL basically. So put the ACL in, and then they also stitched up the meniscus. So because they stitched up the meniscus, so I don't know if you know, but the meniscus is kind of the cushion between your knees. Right. So you have your ligaments here, and then you have your two meniscus that act as cartilage and cushioning for the knee bones. Because of that impact and because of the low blood flow, if you get those repaired, which is stitches, then you have to be completely non-weight bearing for a month. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was. I couldn't walk or put any weight on it for a month. In that time, that was really hard. I cried a minimum of once a day. Kurt would probably say a minimum of 3 times a day. So that year in general was really hard for me. I had, as an athlete, I had a lot of, disappointments. And as an athlete, comparing myself to others, like I had said, feeling inadequate in a lot of ways. And so I was already in this kind of mindset. I was my fittest I had ever been, which I should have been more proud of looking back. I was my fittest and strongest, but there's just stuff that had come up that was really a struggle for me. So then doing this and being at home, not able to really leave my bed, not able to carry stuff, just little things, it just I don't want to say broke me, but my mental game was just totally shattered. Uh-huh. And so, like I said, the 5 weeks before my surgery, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do all my stuff. I'm going to come back. I'm going to be totally fine. And then quickly in that month of being home and how hard that was I don't care. I don't even care to go and train anymore. I don't care about my nutrition. I don't care about anything. Mm-hmm. It was a total shutdown of caring at all. Once I got off of crutches, really, and for the first probably 8 to 10 months, the main reason I was in here was in my capacity as a coach. 'Cause and just the logical knowing it was good for me. Mm-hmm. But emotionally, I was only here to see my athletes and continue to train through an injury so that they would see me training through an injury and know that it was possible. That was my main motivator. Otherwise, I was having a really hard time, to be really honest. Yeah. And I feel my recovery went much slower than all of us anticipated, and is going much slower than all of us anticipated. Mm-hmm. So that was really tough. I will say one thing that was really nice was the amount of upper body strength I had did make moving around a lot easier, right? Having a pistol squat, I was able to get down and up on only one leg. I was able to push myself up. I was still able to do pull-ups. I was still able to do a lot without having my leg working. So that also helped a lot. Uh-huh. The fitness and capacity I'd built up before did make navigating the world much more manageable, which was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. How long after you were injured and after your surgery did it take you to get back in here? whether that's coaching or training or both?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So I didn't come in at all while I was on crutches. I was very nervous to drive myself for a couple of reasons. It's my leg that pushed on, like it's my driving leg that I injured. But also I just like, if something happened and like the crutches were in the back or like hobbling around. So I didn't come in, I didn't go anywhere without Kurt the first month that I was on crutches.
He probably loved that.
He did. But then, he did until he was like, do you want me to get you food? And I'm like, I want to get food myself.
I don't want you to come with me.
And he's like, I can get it. I'm like, I know you can and I can't.
You should feel so lucky.
For real. Oh my gosh. He was like, so food or no? Like,
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So maybe, I don't know. We'll have to get back to him. What was your question? Oh, get back in here. So
yes.
I think probably not the first week I was walking, because it was like a phased approach back into walking. Like I went into PT on Monday when I was able to be weight bearing, but it was like still with crutches. Like, so it was like, let's walk with crutches. And then like Wednesday when I went back, it was like, okay, we're gonna do a couple steps and I'm gonna help you, right? So I think there was like 5 weeks while I was on crutches or getting off of crutches that I didn't come back. But then I think I was back in here. I remember the first couple times I coached, Justin co-coached with me because we just weren't sure how it was gonna go. Mm-hmm. And so he was there to like demo for me and just like help make sure I was comfortable with everything. So we did a couple times of that. And then I think I was back in here just very like limited. Like I remember we were deadlifting one day and I was just doing I was deadlifting a kettlebell and then doing like single leg, like non-weighted. Mm-hmm. Or I was like biking. And then, or just hanging from a pull-up bar and doing stuff there. So so about 5 weeks after surgery, I was back here very limited, or like limited capacity, but still coming in regularly.
You said that it took you about 8 to 10 months to, we're about 2 years into this injury, by the way. Yeah. It took you about 8 to 10 months to finally feel like, do you want to say like motivated to get back in here? Would that be, I guess motivated's not the right word, because you had different motivations other than your fitness to be in here. Yeah. But more like, took you 8 to 10 months to get like to a point where you wanted to increase your fitness again?
Yeah, I mean, at least. So, I would say it was like, I wanted to increase my fitness, but it was still like a mild pity party, I guess. Right. The whole time, right? So it was like I like wanted to be fitter, but like felt sorry for myself that I wasn't for those first like 8 months. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so when you came in and you worked out, you didn't leave feeling like, nice, that felt good, I'm feeling good again. Was it more like, dang it, I can't do deadlifts like everybody else?
Yeah. Okay. It was like I felt good to move. So I did have that like after I left where I was like, okay, it felt good to sweat. But it was like, especially initially, it was like, yep, just squat into a box again, not even to parallel, like there was a lot of like that. Like it was like equally felt good to move and sweat and equally demoralizing how far how much I had lost. Right. And I say that to a lot of people. I was like, it's really hard because I know all my pre-surgery numbers. I think if I didn't know those, my mentality wouldn't have been as like negative. Mm-hmm. Right. For sure. Not that those aren't good to know. It's just like it made it hard. Yeah. I know how off I am. I know what percent. Yeah.
You know where you're
stronger,
at, and you know where you're.
Exactly.
That you're not there right now.
Yeah.
If you had to give advice to someone, one piece of advice to someone that is going through an injury, what would be your piece of advice? I think
I think my biggest I think where I went the most wrong is having unrealistic expectations of myself. So I think you really need to like sit down and understand what the injury is that you're going through, and not just assume that any prior history is going to make you the exception to what that recovery is.
Right.
And so it's like, for example, like I just looked up a month or two ago how long it takes for the tendon that they take the graft from to heal.
The hamstring
The
tendon?
hamstring tendon that
Okay.
they took from, it takes 2 to 3 years for that to grow back.
Oh.
I just looked that up 2 months ago.
Right.
Right? Like I should have looked that up
Right.
before the surgery.
So you looked that up and you're like, oh, well, that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. That makes sense why I'm still struggling. Like, and actually that gave me a lot of relief because I'm like, why is this still so hard?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I feel like that would be my biggest thing is like actually understand your injury and understand like what the actual recovery for that looks like, what the actual pain for that is going to be, and and have realistic time frames for yourself and expectations for yourself around what it's going to take to get better.
Right. Yeah, I feel like for you too, especially like you're not the only one that had unrealistic expectations.
Exactly.
Like I did.
I
And
know.
all of us around you kind of had those unrealistic expectations too. I guess we also didn't really fully understand what your injury was. Because
Yeah.
right at first we all thought it was just ACL.
Yep.
And we were like, some people walk on their ACL the next
Exactly.
day. And we're like, well, why isn't Samantha walking yet? But
Uh-huh.
you had way more going on than just
Exactly.
that. So like,
Yeah.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Is like knowing what's actually happening.
Yeah.
I think that is the craziest thing about the hamstring. I can't believe they just take a little piece of it, put it there, and it just grows back.
For sure. Well, they just
What the
like
heck?
they just like yeah. So they like screw through your bones, right? So they like take a piece of the hamstring, they screw through your bones, and then they like pull the hamstring through the ACL. And so then they technically could like remove those screws. Like your new tendon just is like,
It just-
I live here now.
Here's the bone. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I just
connect.
like live here.
That's insane.
What?
That really
Are
is
we being for real right
freaking
now?
crazy.
So they're like, we technically could take those out, but like there's no reason to go in and remove them. I'm like, you're lying. And then yeah, the tendon, they just like cut a piece of your tendon and then it just like grows back.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's kind of like, okay, maybe you can't squat 200 pounds at that moment, but your tendon can grow itself on your knee, which is like, it can just like attach to the
Crazy.
bodies are crazy.
It's
like,
so crazy.
In any capacity, the body is crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay, so let's move on from your injury a little bit. When I first started CrossFit, which I actually have a fun story about this.
Yes.
That's kind of when you started your coaching journey, I think. I think it was a similar time frame. Because I remember
Yeah.
my first open, I couldn't do toe to bar. I wanted to do a toe to bar. And Samantha was a newer coach at the
This is
time.
my favorite
and
story.
Justin was out of town, I think. And I texted Justin and I was like, hey, I want to redo this open workout. I didn't get as far as I wanted and I want to practice my toe to bar. And he was like, Coach Samantha will work with you on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I don't know anybody. Like, this is my first time in a CrossFit class at Salty Hive.
I was gonna say, cause you had done Slick.
Right, so I did Slick, but I only knew the Slick students.
Yeah.
So like, this was like really my first time like in a class with the Salty Hive crew. Also, I tore my hands to shreds on that open workout. It was dumbbell snatches, toe to bar, and double unders.
Yep, I remember.
And I went to the Saturday class, did the class, and then I was nervous because I'm awkward, and Samantha was like looking at me, and I was like just waiting for her to come over to me, and she was like, hey, so I'm Samantha. I am like here to help you with some toe to bar. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm really like, I want to work on my toe to bar, but like my hands are torn.
And they are raw. They are like fully pink and raw.
And she's like, oh, well, we can do some other drills. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I can hang. And so she's probably like, oh my gosh, this girl's intense. Like, probably like, she like had just started coaching. So she's probably like, oh my gosh, this girl's freaking crazy. But I kind of want to talk about your coaching journey. So
Yeah.
What brought you from athlete to wanting to start to get in the coaching space at CrossFit?
Yeah, so about the same time that I was working on my gymnastics, like I talked about earlier, after Justin had taken over, we had also had some conversations about my presence and demeanor at the gym. And where he brought to my awareness that whether I liked it or not, I was a leader at this gym just for the time I had been here, being at every class, like, you know what I mean, just whatever. And the way that I held myself in classes was noticed. And so I started to take that seriously first, where it was like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna make sure that I'm a good example, that I am approachable, that all of those things, right? And then from there, as we continued to work on stuff and I continued to work on like my demeanor and being more of a leader in the gym, he had asked me if I had interest in coaching, and which I always had, but I was of this mindset that I was like, if he wants me to coach, he'll ask me, right? Otherwise, he doesn't think I'll be a good coach, right? And so when he had asked me, I was like, yeah, like I think I would like that. I had taught dance before and had loved doing that. So did that. I took my level 1 in November of 2019. Got onboarded to coaching and just, loved it. So I kept doing that. I don't know what else, where do you want me to go from there?
That's perfect. Okay, so you started in the coaching,
Yep.
and then you started coaching, you're also an athlete, and
Yep.
then you kind of got this injury.
Yeah.
It took you away from the gym. It came back, and personally from what I noticed is you took that time that you weren't an athlete and you decided to put that energy towards your coaching. So kind of tell me about that. Like, was that your intention? Was that like, well, I still want to be here in some sort of capacity? So like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I feel like I was definitely taking coaching seriously the whole time. So, cause let's see, so I'd gotten my level 1 in 2019. So then in 2021, I got my level 2. I knew I wanted to get my level 3. And as soon as Justin got his, I was like, okay, like I want to be at, like if I'm going to be here and do this, I want to be at the level that Justin's at, right? Like why wouldn't I? Why should my classes not be the same as his, right? Like why should I not be as good of a coach as he is? So I always had that, but you're right. I like equally was focused on being an athlete, right? There was still a lot of time and attention put into that. And I loved them both. I still do. But like I said, that year I had a couple hard times as an athlete, even before the injury. And so I was like already studying for my level 3 and already like starting to get into that. But I was like, okay, like you're starting to get disappointed as an athlete. So like, what if you pushed like and spent that time being a better coach instead? Cause like, I was like, you're working so hard as an athlete and like, you're still kind of not ending up where you want to be. Why are you putting all that time when you could put that time into coaching and like impact your members even more? So I like started doing that. I like did my weightlifting course. I started studying more for my level 3. And then, the injury just like really pushed that, right? I was like, well, if I'm going to just like be here, like I might as well study my coaching stuff even more. So kind of like depressingly, I just signed up for taking my level 3 as soon as it was like, I was like, okay, I'll be able to walk this day, so I'll do it after that. Like,
Okay,
so I signed up, and then, while I was injured, just was really heads down studying for that, rereading my level 1, rereading my level 2. And I was like, this is going to be a long journey. Didn't know how long it was going to be, but I was like, this is going to be a long journey. So like, let's go heads down into coaching, because you aren't going to be heads down as an athlete, right?
Right. You've also really divvied into the programming at the gym. So you and Justin typically do most of the programming together. what got you started with that, and what do you love about that? And like, tell me a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so that was in preparation for my level 3, because actually this might be good. I feel like a lot of our members probably don't know. So the level 1 is a weekend course that it goes on like all day Saturday and Sunday and teaches you the fundamentals of CrossFit, including the foundational movements, what CrossFit is, the methodology, what is fitness, like all these definitions that we have around this this training methodology that we're doing, right? The level 2 then teaches you, it's another weekend seminar that teaches you to coach that methodology, right? So you go, and as opposed to just doing the movements and working through that, you have the seminar staff helping you coach other people at the seminar through that methodology. And then I like to think of the level 3 as displaying mastery of the level 1, and the level 4 is displaying mastery of the level 2, right? So they're both assessments. The level 3 is a written assessment where it's like you have to really know your stuff. And that includes programming, that includes anatomy, that includes what CrossFit is, health markers, etc. It's very in depth. So with that, I had told Justin that my goal was to get my level 3, and he said, you can study programming as much as you want, but you'll be able to connect with it and the assessment better if you actually do it. So I'd like to have you come and program with me, and that'll help you study for your level 3. So that's how that started. And then I think he just liked having additional input and perspective, and we worked well together, and I had fun with it. So that's kind of how it started. What I like about it is coaching is like the number one way to drive impact for athletes, right? The programming, it matters, but your coaching is number 1. But then next is that programming, right? Mm-hmm. Like you got to make sure that you are giving your athletes appropriate doses and workouts and variety and all of those things. And so it's just another way that I was able to impact this gym and help with this gym and get results and satisfaction out of all of our members.
Right. I like that. What do you love about coaching?
Oh, goodness. Everything. Probably the main thing. I feel like in society, there is too much of a focus on what people look like as like what people determine is like, you look at somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, they are healthy or not, or they're fit or not, or they're whatever. And this happens to everybody, but I feel like especially women feel like they should always be smaller or look a certain way, but this happens with guys as well, right? We all have this like aesthetic mindset that we think drives our health and our fitness. And I really like to I think more people need a positive mentor in their life that's not their only focus and their only goal for them. And so while if any of my athletes, any of our members have that goal of losing weight, I 100% support that. But I like to be the person that even if that's not happening, I'm pointing out and congratulating them and stoked for them and proud of them for developing a new skill, for developing strength, for hitting new targets, for being able to run a mile without stopping, for being able to playing with their kids, for like all of those things. I think there needs to be more positive push for focusing on what you are capable of and what you can do, not just outside the gym, not just inside the gym, but outside the gym. And I want to see that happen more. And so I like to push for that in my athletes and my members more as well. So I love being that positive influence that I don't care what you look like or what your scale says. I like to help them focus on other success factors.
I like that. If you could, okay, let me try to word this a little bit better. If like you were to die tomorrow, what would you say would make you feel like a successful coach?
Oh gosh.
We got deep. We're swimming. We're swimming deep.
Gosh.
We're swimming deep.
I mean, I feel like it bounces off of what I had just said, is that I shouldn't say they're our members, our athletes, that they have what they remember of me is being proud of them for those successes, for those types of things, right? Like that they know that I was proud of them because they worked hard, because they were consistent, because they built upper body strength and now can get up off the ground better, because they can work through life a little bit better, right? So I would want them, and I would hope that they would know that I'm proud of them for those type of things, and that would make me happy and feel successful as a coach.
That's awesome. I love that. What are your goals, aspirations, like looking into the future of Salty Hive and your coaching, and those types of things? What are you looking forward to? What are you striving to do next?
Yeah, number one goal right now, but we're still a little bit away from that, is getting my level 4. So, okay, we talked about level 1, 2, 3. Level 4 is, it's an assessment, but it's a practical exam. So you go and you coach a class, and the evaluators tell you whether you were a good enough coach or not.
Stressful.
It is. So I'm a little bit away from that, but that's kind of like top of mind goals, right? So along with that, and I'm actually doing this soon, I want to get into some more weightlifting coaching, Olympic weightlifting. I don't know what that looks like, but I really have started to love that recently. So I'm doing another Bergener weightlifting course. I would like to do the USAW course eventually. So that's really fun. If we're talking long term, I mean, I see a future that I'm coaching more full time, and like what my full time job is right now is like more contract work or part time or something like that. I would like to see those swap over time. So eventually I'd like to, nutrition and like kind of do the whole breadth of stuff, but just kind of going one step at a time through that.
Why Olympic weightlifting right now?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I love it.
It's fun.
It's so fun. I think what happened is that's what I was least confident coaching. So then I did that weightlifting course before I got my L3, like I had told you, and kind of made that my focus in my classes. And so it was like I almost overcompensated because I wasn't as comfortable doing it. And now that's been like what when I put together my lesson plans or anything, like I really try and like target that as I'm developing and working on that. So I think I've just kind of overcompensated for what was once I felt like a weakness, and now trying to make it more of a strength. And now I just have a lot of fun with it.
Did you finally get it scheduled?
Yes.
When is it?
Hopefully, as long as they don't cancel it again. It's supposed to be July 12th.
Where at?
Richmond, Virginia. It's gonna be so hot and muggy. I'm gonna hate it.
That's gonna be awesome though.
I'm so excited.
And is this the course through CrossFit or?
No, so this is the Bergener level 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Do you know who's gonna be the coach?
I don't know.
That's cool.
I'm excited.
Well, who's the coach of your one?
Cody Looney.
Does he or Sage ever coach those?
Like Mike Bergener.
Yeah.
They do, but I think they're not I don't think they do as many as some of their other staff, like Cody and Ray do.
Okay.
I think.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't think so.
That's okay.
Love y'all.
Just one thing is I wanted to tell you that I think that you are an amazing example here. I look up to you a lot as a coach, and I know all the members, like, they see your passion as a coach. I see your passion as a coach. And so we're really lucky that you're a part of this community, and we all love you. And yeah, so thank you for joining us. I hope you guys got to learn a little bit more about Samantha West and her passion for coaching and training and going through an injury and all that. So we will see you next time.
Bye.
I honestly think that was one of my best.
That was
That was good for both of us.
a lot. That was really hard.
I think you did so good.